I was diagnosed with acute leukemia. My family went through hell to find a matching bone marrow donor for me, but my girlfriend went behind my back and gave the spot to her one that got away. On the day of the surgery, she ditched work and stayed by his side, refusing to leave him for a second. I was alone at home, rolling on the floor in agony, blood covering the tiles, my heart completely dead. After I was told my days were numbered, I calmly blocked her number. She had said he almost died. I just went to keep him company. You're not like him, you're strong. But I was dying too. Justin, what the hell is your problem? Why did you freeze my credit card? The door was slammed open, the massive noise echoing through the dim apartment. Vanessa stormed in, fuming. Seeing the room pitch black, she started unbuttoning her blazer while complaining. It's late. The lights aren't on. Dinner isn't made. What exactly do you do all day? Pale-faced, I looked at this woman I had loved for 5 years. 5 years ago, she had nothing. With my family's help, she started a company and became successful. To help her focus on her career, I willingly stepped down from my job to become a house husband, just to take good care of her. And yet, this woman, for whom I gave everything, stole my only chance at survival. The thought made me cough uncontrollably, a low, rasping sound. My chest hurt more and more, and the coughing grew louder, but she didn't ask a single thing. She just frowned and said, "If you're sick, go see a doctor." I stared at her and asked, "Why did you give my donor match to someone else without asking me?" She froze, then looked a bit uncomfortable. You know about that? Look, you're not in a rush, right? That friend of mine has been sick for years, and it turned out the donor matched him too. I figured since you just got sick, you have plenty of time, so I told them to give it to him. But I didn't have plenty of time.
Acute leukemia moves terrifyingly fast.
My family went through incredible hardships to secure that match. Vanessa feigned pity. Honey, you aren't blaming me, are you? Your parents and your sister are so powerful. It's just one donor match. If you lose one, you can just find another. Don't be mad at me. I promise I won't do anything like this again. When you're hospitalized, I'll go to the hospital every day to take care of you. As she spoke, she sat next to me and reached out to hold my arm. The air carried the faint scent of cedarwood, her crush's favorite cologne. 1 second she was with him, and the next she was pretending to be deeply affectionate with me. It was disgusting. "Don't touch me." I slapped her hand away hard. She looked shocked, then immediately impatient. "What are you doing? You're still mad about something so small? Do you know you cut off my card today? I almost couldn't pay the bill. Do you know how embarrassing that was? You're insane." I didn't care. All I knew was that this stupid, selfish woman had stolen my only lifeline. I looked at her expressionlessly. "Vanessa, get the hell out of my house." The nagging woman shut her mouth instantly. She looked at me in disbelief. "What did you say? You're telling me to get out?" I sneered. "This is my house." Vanessa stood up instantly, looking like a lit stick of dynamite, pointing at my nose and screaming, "You mean you want to break up? Fine. God, you're high maintenance, Justin. You kept saying you loved me, but the moment things don't go your way, you kick me out." Vanessa grabbed her coat off the sofa. "Justin, don't you dare regret this." She stormed to the door. Seeing I wasn't trying to stop her, she paused and yelled, "Justin, even if you kneel in front of me next time, I won't take you back." The quiet room was left to just me. Cough, cough, cough. My throat itched, my whole body was in agonizing pain, and I started coughing incessantly, feeling like I was going to cough up a lung. The next second, I felt something warm flowing from my nose. I wiped it with my hand. Bright red blood. It was blood. Since getting sick, I often got sudden nosebleeds. Vanessa had seen it a few times. At first, she would panic a little and help me wipe it up. Later, she would just watch coldly, telling me how gross I was and asking if I could control it, saying that even though Adrian was sicker than me, he never acted like this. In her heart, Adrian was pure and flawless. Even his illness was heartbreaking and elicited pity. My vision blurred from coughing, and my eyes reddened, but the hatred in my heart grew. If not for her, I would have already had the surgery and been in recovery. I sat withered on the sofa. After a long while, I took out my phone and called my sister. I was born into a happy family. My parents had some savings, and my sister ran a successful public company. They loved me. They used to genuinely like Vanessa too, hoping she would treat me well. But fate had other plans. After I got sick, Mom and Dad devoted themselves to taking care of me. My sister, Claire, pulled every string she had to find a matching bone marrow donor, eventually begging the son of a big shot in her circle. He demanded a huge sum but finally agreed to the transplant. But we never expected that the hospital's confirmation call would end up being answered by Vanessa. By the time we found out, Adrian had already finished the surgery, and the donor couldn't donate again for 3 months. Because of this, my dad was hospitalized from the stress. Mom cried all day, and Claire held my hand, telling me she would find a way to save me. I was so grateful for my family. I really didn't want to leave them, but fate is ridiculous. I called Claire to apologize, hoping she would take good care of our parents and not grieve over an unfilial son like me. Claire was silent for a long time before saying, "You have always been their pride, and mine too." My voice choked up. "Claire, help me sell this apartment." "Okay," she replied. The home that held 5 years of memories with Vanessa was sold without a hitch. In my final days, I didn't return to my family. The disease was painful and torturous, not just for me, but for the loved ones watching me. I cowardly chose a way out. Swallowing the pills with hot water, I fell into a deep sleep. Slowly, I felt the pain in my body fade. When I opened my eyes again, I was surprised to find Vanessa standing right in front of me. Everything was stark white. A hospital. Her gaze was fixed right on me. I stepped back in disgust, but then I was shocked to see her walk right through me. I had become a transparent ghost, forced to stick by her side. "Adrian, why are you out of bed?" She rushed toward Adrian, who was behind me. "Why are you so pale? Do you feel sick anywhere?" I turned to look. Adrian was wearing a hospital gown, his face pale and lips colorless, which only highlighted his handsome features, a kind of sickly fragility. Vanessa, shallow as she was clearly enchanted by this look, actually believing he was on the brink of death. Adrian gave 2 weak coughs and whispered, "I'm fine." The room was a bit stuffy. I just wanted to walk. "I'll walk with you." Adrian nodded, then asked with feigned nonchalance, "Vanessa, you haven't gone back in a week. Justin won't be mad, will he?" Vanessa said dismissively, "It's fine. He's very generous. He hasn't even called me in all this time." Adrian looked surprised. "Doesn't that mean he's mad at you? He must be angry that you've been at the hospital taking care of me. It's all my fault." Adrian's eyes reddened, and his voice took on a tearful tone. "If only I didn't have no parents and no one to look after me. Even this treatment was paid for by you, Vanessa." Adrian looked up. "I'll pay you back as soon as possible." Vanessa really was a fool for love. My sister told me Vanessa's company was having cash flow problems recently, yet she still managed to cough up a huge sum for Adrian's surgery. She comforted Adrian for a bit, then said she was going back to get a change of clothes and would return. I watched her drive home. Unfortunately for her, she didn't know I had already thrown all her stuff out. Beep, beep, beep. The lock frantically signaled an error code. Vanessa frowned and complained, "Did Justin seriously change the code?" Just then, the door was yanked open. A burly man appeared in the doorway, frowning at Vanessa. "What do you think you're doing?" Vanessa jumped, then asked angrily, "Who are you, honey? Who keeps trying to open our door?" A woman in a red nightgown peeked out. The man immediately blocked her from view, staring warily at Vanessa. "Who the hell are you? Why do you keep punching in our code?" "I'm telling you, I've already called security. You better behave." Vanessa stammered in shock. "Your home?" But this is clearly my home." The man looked at her like she was crazy. "Are you sick? I bought this place a week ago. How is it your home?" "Vanessa, he sold the house." "How is that possible?" he said. "Ms. Liu." The security guard rushed over from behind and escorted Vanessa away. She hadn't recovered from the shock, grabbing the guard's hand in disbelief. "He sold the apartment." The guard nodded. Yeah, Mr. Hayes said something about going back home to recover from an illness. Suddenly selling the house. Did he catch something serious? Vanessa's words stalled, her expression wavering. I knew exactly what she was thinking. She was wondering if my illness was actually severe. Vanessa was escorted out of the complex. I stood behind her, watching as she typed acute leukemia into her phone and started searching. The more she read, the graver her expression became. Finally, her face turned panic-stricken, and her hands started to shake. Seeing this, I actually felt a twinge of pleasure. You think this is bad? Vanessa, your suffering has just begun. Vanessa started frantically calling my phone. As soon as it connected, a cold female voice replied, "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." Vanessa's face went white. She looked at her phone in disbelief, then started calling my sister and my parents, but the line was always busy. Naturally, after I died, my family must have blocked her long ago. It was 10 at night. After agonizing over it, she was just about to call a taxi to go to my parents' place when Adrian called her. The man on the phone sounded weak, gasping for air. "Vanessa, I didn't mean to disturb you, but I suddenly feel so awful. I don't know if it's a rejection reaction." Vanessa hesitated for a moment, then said, "I'm coming to the hospital right now." When she arrived, Vanessa asked, "Should we call a doctor?" Adrian looked at her apologetically. "I just saw the doctor. He said I'm just under too much stress." "I'm sorry, Vanessa. I made you come all this way for nothing." Vanessa remained silent for a long time. Adrian obviously noticed her odd behavior. He asked, "Did you fight with Justin again? Should I call and explain things to him?" In the past, whenever Adrian called or texted, Vanessa would drop whatever she was doing to rush to his side. I had fought with her about it, screamed about it. Later, my heart grew cold. I would stare at the elaborate dinner on the table and watch coldly as she left without hesitation. Maybe that was when my love for her slowly disappeared. Vanessa asked, "Adrian, since you have this illness, you must know a lot about it, right?" Adrian froze, then nodded uncomfortably. Of course he felt uncomfortable previously. Vanessa had spared his feelings and never brought up his illness voluntarily. Now she was asking. Adrian must have been very confused. Vanessa asked, "Is acute leukemia dangerous?" Adrian looked surprised. "Is that what Justin has? Acute leukemia? Didn't you say it was just normal leukemia and they caught it early?" Her breath hitched. She had never cared enough to know the details. Adrian added, "The hematology department at this hospital is famous. If Justin is sick, there's a high probability he's here too. Maybe if you look around, you can find him." Adrian just said it casually, but he didn't expect Vanessa to take it seriously. She nodded. "You're right. I'll go ask. I can definitely find him." Vanessa. I watched as Vanessa completely ignored Adrian, leaving the room in a daze and heading straight for the doctor's office. She stared intensely at the doctor. "Please, he really is my boyfriend. I just want to know which ward he's in." The doctor gave her a strange look, pushed up his glasses and said, "That's against protocol." Bang! Vanessa slammed her hand on the desk, her eyes red, breathing rapidly. "I just want to know if he's okay. I'm really worried about him. He's my boyfriend. Why don't I have the right to know?" The doctor flipped through a file, then asked expressionlessly, "Since he is your boyfriend, why do you not know his condition?" Vanessa was speechless. The doctor continued, "He was admitted on the same day as Mr. Adrian, whom you are caring for. But in these 3 months, there is no record of you visiting Mr. Hayes." Doctor, Mr. Hayes' condition was critical. Acute leukemia progresses extremely fast. His life was in danger at any moment. His family found a matching bone marrow donor for him, but in the end, he didn't undergo the surgery. Vanessa's face instantly turned ash gray. Clearly, she realized why I hadn't had the surgery, because she had given my only chance at survival to her high school crush. Is he in danger? Can't he wait a bit longer? His family is rich, they can definitely... I don't know. After the matching marrow was gone, he chose to discharge himself, the doctor said. He was my patient and I desperately hoped he would live, but you were the one who took that confirmation call, weren't you? Shouldn't you know better than me how Mr. Hayes is doing right now? Vanessa walked out of the office in a trance. Adrian went to greet her, but she shoved him aside. I watched her stumble to the top floor and dial my sister's number. This time, the call actually went through. Claire. Her voice trembled, asking almost pleadingly, "Is Justin okay? He's fine, right?" There was silence on the other end. The next second, beep beep beep, the busy signal. She hung up. Vanessa's expression froze. Her eyes reddened, and she gritted her teeth. She paced back and forth anxiously, taking out her phone to dial number after number. Most didn't answer. A few did, but hung up immediately upon hearing her question. Finally, she switched to her chat with me. The last conversation was from a month ago. I asked if she was coming back for dinner. She hadn't replied. After I died, my family must have collected my phone. Justin, playing hide and seek. Huh? If you have the guts, don't reply to me for the rest of your life. There was no response for a long time. Vanessa's originally exquisite suit was now full of wrinkles, her makeup smeared. She was panting heavily, like a trapped beast. Seeing her so pathetic, my heart, originally full of resentment, slowly grew calm. This kind of woman isn't worth my hate. Forced to follow her, I watched her curl up in a corner of the hospital and sleep through the night. The next day, she went straight to my sister's company. "I want to see Claire Hayes." Vanessa stood at the front desk. The receptionist looked up at the disheveled Vanessa and said, "Ma'am, do you have an appointment?" Vanessa pointed at herself in disbelief. "Appointment? Are you asking me? Don't you know who I am?" "I am, ma'am. Strangers who want to see the CEO need an appointment." Vanessa choked. Before, whenever she came to my sister's company, she went right up. No matter how busy Claire was, she would invite her up to rest. She had never been shut out like this. Vanessa sneered, "I'm here to talk to her about Justin." "Are you sure you want to stop me?" The receptionist's face went cold. "Please make an appointment first." "Fine. If you won't let me see her, I'll sit right here and not leave." With that, she planted herself on the guest sofa in the lobby. I stared at her from a distance, and for a moment, I actually found it hilarious. She used to say that I sometimes acted like a drama queen, always making a scene over nothing. But isn't she acting more like a drama queen right now? The receptionist clearly wasn't going to indulge her. She turned her head and whispered into her headset. Within 30 seconds, a group of burly security guards appeared and hauled Vanessa up. "What are you doing?" "I'm Justin's girlfriend." "Receptionist, please escort her out." Vanessa began to struggle violently, but since college, she had spent her days either drinking and socializing or lying around at home. How could she match these muscle-bound men? I watched her get dragged out like a dead dog, even losing a high heel in the struggle. She kept screaming that she was Justin's girlfriend, the future daughter-in-law of the Hayes family, asking how they dared treat her like this. But everyone just looked at her with indifference. Vanessa finally realized something was wrong. She slumped on the ground, looking up at the receptionist, and asked, "Is Justin really dumping me?" How laughable. I didn't know if she was playing dumb or actually stupid. Even now, she didn't believe something had happened to me. The receptionist looked disgusted and was about to speak, but saw Vanessa staring straight behind her. I followed her gaze and felt a jolt in my soul. It was my sister, whom I hadn't even seen one last time. She was wearing a well-tailored black women's suit, looking a bit haggard, coldly watching the farce in the lobby. I couldn't help but take a step forward. "Claire," I felt wronged and sad, but being a ghost, I couldn't even cry. Vanessa struggled and ran to my sister, asking urgently, "Is Justin okay? I heard his illness is dangerous." My sister said, "You knew his illness was dangerous, yet you still gave his spot to someone else behind our backs?" Vanessa froze. I didn't know back then, and Justin looked fine at the time. "Adrian, where did he look fine?" My sister's eyes were full of hate. Every time he had chemotherapy, his hair fell out in clumps. Every night when the illness flared up, his bones hurt so much he couldn't sleep. And you? You were out partying until midnight, coming back and expecting him to drag his sick body around to take care of you. Vanessa, but he never told me any of that. Did you give him a chance to? Vanessa, ever since Adrian contacted you, your whole heart has been on him. For that man, you risked bankrupting your company to put him in the best hospital. And you even stole my brother's only chance at life. Vanessa immediately retorted, no, I love Justin. I saved Adrian just because I couldn't bear it. He's a human life too. Was I supposed to just stand by and watch? My sister sneered. Did he tell you that he owns 3 houses in Boston and has millions in savings? Vanessa's voice cut off abruptly. She looked at my sister in disbelief. My sister looked at her with disgust. I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing how far that man will go for you. You wanted to see Justin? Let's go. With that, my sister walked out the door first. Vanessa hesitated for a second, then immediately followed. I didn't know how long I could exist in this world. Seeing my sister now, I had mixed feelings. I followed her closely, just wanting to be with her a little longer. Along the way, my gaze stayed on my sister. She looked out the car window expressionlessly, her eyes hiding emotions I couldn't read. She looked exhausted, and I felt guilty. I was released from pain, but all the pressure fell on her. She had suddenly lost her brother and had to take care of our aging parents. I gently placed my hand on her arm, remembering when we were small. Our parents were busy, so Claire took care of me. She would complain, but every time I refused to walk, she would silently carry me on her back. Later, when I said I liked Vanessa, even though she looked down on her, she always helped her out. If not for Claire, Vanessa's company would have collapsed long ago. I cursed Vanessa in my heart. An ungrateful wolf. I was truly blind back then. The car came to a smooth stop. Vanessa froze. When she opened the door to get out, she stumbled and almost fell. I realized then that my sister had brought Vanessa to a cemetery. Legs weak, my sister casually pointed to 2 bodyguards. Drag her. Since she wanted to come, let her kowtow properly to Justin. The evergreen trees in the cemetery stood tall. My sister walked up step by step, finally stopping in front of a new grave. The stone slab looked freshly sealed. There was no headstone, just a pile of fresh flowers. She turned back against the light to look at Vanessa. Didn't you want to see him? The blood drained from Vanessa's face. She took a heavy step forward, then tripped over her own feet, kneeling awkwardly on the ground. She knocked over the flowers in front of the grave, hurriedly trying to fix them, then slowly looked up at my sister. I noticed her eyes were bloodshot. You're lying to me, right? How could Justin be dead? It's only been a week. Just 1 week. He was killed by you, my sister said coldly. Vanessa trembled all over, staring at her in disbelief. Vanessa, you're lying. How is that possible? How could I have killed him? My sister raised her hand and traced a vague arc in the air. She asked softly, why is it impossible? When this disease flares up, it's excruciating. I checked the surveillance cameras at home. He rolled on the floor in pain, unable to scream because no one was home. He tried to grab his phone, but his hands shook so much from the pain he couldn't even dial. He also got sudden nosebleeds frequently. Did you ever see that? Vanessa went stiff, her lips trembling, unable to say a word. But my sister wasn't ready to let her off. Instead, she continued, the blood would fall on the floor, and he would kneel there alone, lonely, slowly wiping it clean. I felt a bit awkward. If I had a physical body, I would have cringed enough to dig a 3-bedroom apartment out of the ground. Although the disease came on fast because I found release early, the days of true suffering weren't as numerous as she described. My sister was deliberately exaggerating my pain, simply to torture Vanessa. My gaze fell on Vanessa. Her goal was certainly achieved. Vanessa knelt on the ground, soul crushed, huge tears falling. She shook as she cried, going from quiet sobbing to loud wailing. She kept repeating, I'm sorry, I didn't know, I really didn't know. Her voice went hoarse. In the end, she started kowtowing repeatedly to my grave, harder and harder. Couldn't help but frown. Her suffering made me happy. Sure, but if possible, I didn't want this dirty woman soiling my road to reincarnation. Clearly, my sister had the same thought. She waved her hand, and the bodyguards hauled Vanessa up. My sister said, "My brother called me before he died." Vanessa's gaze slowly fell on my sister. My sister lifted her chin slightly and said, word for word, "He said he hopes Vanessa never bothers him again. He hopes to never cross paths with you again." Vanessa trembled, staring blankly at the grave. After a long while, she slowly stood up. "Yes, it would have been better if he had never met me." After saying that, she turned and slowly left the cemetery. I looked at her back with some confusion. Vanessa seemed off, as if she had lost her soul. I reluctantly looked back at my sister, who was still standing by the grave, then regretfully followed Vanessa. She actually went back to the hospital where Adrian was. I felt annoyed, wondering when I could finally be rid of this terrible woman. I thought she would go back to being lovey-dovey with Adrian, but surprisingly, she entered the room with a cold face. Adrian was startled by her disheveled appearance, then slowly calmed down and said softly, "Oh my, Vanessa, what happened to you? Why do you look like this? Did you fight with Justin?" "Ha, I'm dead and still being used as conversation fodder. Scumbag and tramp." Usually, if Adrian coaxed her like this, Vanessa would be all smiles. But this time, Vanessa grabbed his hand and stared at him intensely. She said, "Adrian, I have a favor to ask." Adrian froze, then immediately said, "What's this about favors? Vanessa, you've helped me so much. If you're in trouble, I'll definitely help you." Vanessa said, "My company is having some issues. Can you lend me some money?" Adrian asked, "How much do you need?" Vanessa said, 500 grand. 500 grand? Adrian exclaimed. "Where would I get that kind of money?" Realizing his reaction was too extreme, he quickly added, "I'm sorry, Vanessa. I spent almost all my savings treating my illness. I have $5,000 on hand, I'll give it all to you." He held Vanessa's hands with both of his. "When I get better and earn money, I'll give you more." Vanessa stared at him. "Really? Your properties and savings in Boston don't add up to 500 grand? Adrian looked at Vanessa in astonishment. Then his eyes darted around. "Vanessa, did someone say something to you? I don't own any property in Boston. Those belong to my friend, they're just in my name. I can't touch my friend's stuff." That excuse was so bad that not only did Vanessa not believe it, even I laughed. "Who is crazy enough to put houses in your name? Stupid woman. Look at this man you gave your heart and soul to." Seeing her being played like a fiddle, I genuinely laughed out loud. Vanessa smiled bitterly. "You know what? When I first started my business, Justin gave me $500,000 as startup capital. His family was strict with him, he saved that money secretly. Back then, no one believed in my industry, but he gave me the money without hesitation, completely unafraid that I'd lose it all. I was so stupid back then. I even picked a fight with him, feeling like he was using money to pressure me. I told him, 'So you have some stinking money? What's the big deal? I'll be richer than you someday.' But now I realize there are things money can't buy. For you, I risked bankrupting my company to pay for your treatment. And you?" Hearing this, Adrian's expression turned ugly. He craned his neck and said, "Did I beg you to give me the money? Are you sick? You really think you sacrificed so much? You're just moving yourself with your own drama. Everything was voluntary on your part, including the bone marrow donor. You gave that to me voluntarily too. What? Justin is fighting with you about it, so you're taking it out on me? Let me tell you, Vanessa, plenty of people are willing to do things for me. If you don't want to be here, then get out now." When he said donor, Vanessa's face went completely white. She stared at Adrian with dark eyes, a hint of madness appearing on her face. Vanessa muttered to herself, "Yes, you stole his chance to live. If not for you, he might have already finished the surgery and been in recovery. I would be with him every day, taking care of him. If it weren't for you." Vanessa's voice suddenly shrieked. The next second, she charged forward, strangling Adrian and pinning him to the bed. Adrian struggled violently, his nails scratching Vanessa. But Vanessa didn't let go. The hospital bed shook violently, knocking bottles and jars off the side table. The sound of breaking glass quickly attracted a nurse. The nurse screamed and rushed in to pull Vanessa off, followed by security and doctors rushing in to help separate them. Cough, cough, cough. Vanessa, you psycho. She's crazy. She wants to kill me. Arrest her. Adrian screamed. Vanessa struggled frantically. Let me go. It's all his fault. He killed my boyfriend. Bullshit. You killed him yourself. Vanessa, it was you. You killed the man who loved you most. Vanessa's expression instantly went gray. She froze, letting them pin her to the floor. I stood at the door watching it all coldly, thinking, yeah, wasn't it you, you selfish, stupid woman? Who killed me? This pair of scumbags turned on each other so quickly. I found it incredibly funny. Just then, thud, Vanessa was shoved by Adrian. Her head hit the floor hard, and she passed out. The next second, a white light flashed, and I lost consciousness too. Before I blacked out, I felt a bit of regret. This time I was probably really moving on. But I hadn't even had the chance to see all my family one last time. When I woke up again, my eyes were met with the same white ceiling. I had woken up in a hospital again. Luckily, having experience as a ghost, I wasn't panicked at all this time. Click. The door was pushed open. It was my sister. Her gaze swept over my face, then landed on the small table nearby. She walked over and put something down on it. I paused, thinking I had become my sister's spirit guardian this time. But then my heart sank. She was in the hospital. I didn't know who it was for. Was it mom or dad? Or was something wrong with her? I looked at her worriedly. She ladled a small bowl of porridge from a thermos and walked toward me. Awake? Me? Ha! I pointed at myself in disbelief. You can see me? My sister rolled her eyes. Did the surgery break your brain? I said, but didn't I die? My sister's face fell. Who said you died? I said in disbelief, but back then Then I got to your apartment. Stomach pump, induced vomiting, the whole routine, my sister said calmly. But because your body was so weak before, you fell into a coma for some reason. Later, we found a matching donor and did the surgery immediately. So now my illness, yeah, it's cured. No rejection reaction for now. My sister sneered. You're in good health now. Once you're discharged, you're healthy enough for mom, dad, and me to beat the hell out of you. Hearing this, I looked away guiltily. Then, remembering that magical experience as Vanessa's ghost, I tentatively said, you won't believe it, but while I was out, I had a weird dream. I dreamt I was a ghost following Vanessa. My sister pursed her lips, looking at me like I was hopeless. You really have high aspirations. Seeing her misunderstand, I quickly explained, it's not what you think. I followed her and watched her get tortured. It was awesome. I even saw you take her to a grave without a headstone and tell her I was dead. My sister paused, looking surprised. I actually did that. I was shocked. You really bought me a grave. Aren't you cursing me to die? My sister said, didn't you want to die anyway? You were lying half dead in the ICU. Why couldn't I buy a grave in advance? I froze, realizing something was wrong. Quickly asked, how long was I out? 3 months. God. I had been in a coma for 3 whole months. Guilt instantly flooded my heart again. For 3 months, they had lived in fear for me. I knew my condition must have been critical, otherwise, they wouldn't have bought a plot in advance. My heart ached slightly. This was my family who loved me. I sat up straight and reached out to hug my sister. Claire, thank you. I'll listen to you from now on. My sister was silent for a long time, then raised her hand to hug me back. As long as you know. By the way, what about that grave? I flipped it for 500 grand. What? No way. Was there really a sucker who paid $500,000 for an empty grave? From that day on, I started my rehabilitation. Because I had been in bed for so long, my limbs were weak. My sister hired a specialist to help me rehab. It turned out to be Dr. Lindsay, the doctor who had stood up for me and roasted Vanessa in the hospital back in my dream. Dr. Lindsay was very humorous. Every time she checked on me, she would find topics to make me laugh. But she was also incredibly meticulous in her work. With her help, I recovered quickly. Soon, I could leave the ward for walks with assistants. One day, I was walking slowly in the garden with Dr. Lindsay when we heard crying and shouting ahead. Lindsay supported me as we stood at a distance to watch. I looked closely and realized it was Adrian. He was sitting on the ground, hair disheveled, crying. The fragile, handsome look was gone. He was clutching a nurse's uniform, looking crazy. He was screaming, "Why is there a rejection? Why is there a rejection? Is your technology garbage? Why is my body rejecting it? I don't want to die. Where is that volunteer? Make him donate bone marrow again. I have money. I have lots of money. Save me, save me. Sir, please calm down. We have already contacted the volunteer. Donation is voluntary if he isn't willing. We cannot force him." I watched Adrian for a long time, unable to look away. He was having a rejection reaction. Seeing me staring, Lindsay asked softly, "Tired? Should we go back through gate C?" I nodded and turned with her help. The next second, I froze. Behind me stood Vanessa. She was staring right at me. I thought, just my luck. I hope this woman doesn't start trouble. Lindsay clearly saw her too. She frowned slightly, then supported me as we walked away. As we passed Vanessa, I heard her whisper, "Justin, I'm sorry. I was really happy when I found out you were alive. I bought that grave back from your sister. When I die, I want to be buried in it. If there is a next life." "Ma'am, please believe in science," Dr. Lindsay suddenly interrupted. "If you pin everything on the next life, doesn't that make this life a failure? Be realistic. You can't even live this life properly. What makes you think you'll be a decent human in the next one?" Vanessa's voice cut off instantly. Lindsay's tongue was so sharp I almost applauded. Seeing me look at her, she gave me a gentle smile, took my hand, and we slowly walked away. This time I didn't look back. It was a rare sunny day. Lindsay held my hand, and from then on, all the gloom scattered as she led me slowly into the sunlight.